There are many people who advocate for the use of tactical knives as use of force options in personal protection. I train with knives all the time, and I do it both as a martial art and as a combative discipline. However, keep in mind that the use of a knife has very limited value as a tool for self-defense and personal protection. A knife can be very effective in combat. It can be very effective for killing another human being. It can be very effective for causing grievous wounds. And in self-defense and personal protection, there are very few times that those are reasonable actions. We know this. But even in a situation where you have to stop somebody as quickly and as efficiently as possible, there are some things you need to understand when it comes to the use of a knife. If you are using a knife as a force multiplier in a use of force situation where it is reasonable to use lethal force, there are things you need to understand. First of all, dead men kill. By this I mean, if you cut through an artery, a major organ, unless you actually sever the brainstem, you are not stopping someone instantly. It doesn't work that way. And often people who are single-minded, in that state of mind where they are completely focused on killing you, on doing harm to you, you may kill a man and he still kills you. This is one of the things that happens in knife fighting. The old saying that the winner of a knife fight is the one who dies on the way to the hospital is something you must consider if you're going to use a knife as a force multiplier for personal protection. When it comes to knife sparring, I see too many people training in ways that would just get both people killed. The other day I had an old friend of mine come to the gym and we were doing some knife sparring, and it just ended up being clinching and stabbing each other. There was no consideration of the knife as a potentially lethal weapon. We were just treating it as a sport event and we were having fun and playing, but we were being complete idiots when you consider what we were training. I don't even think that my training partner considered what was happening. He was just so busy trying to trap my arm and get some stabs in that he wasn't even considering the 5 or 6 or 7 stabs he was taking. And I wasn't either at that point. I was just playing along with him like a fucking moron. You have to treat training with knives different. Now the stuff Keith and I are doing here is just drilling, but when we're sparring, we need to try and get in and out, cause damage, and get away from the person. Not stay in there to try and prove that we can get multiple stabs, because that's just a way to train to die. This is the wrong way of training. If you are training for a knife-to-knife situation, well, most people will tell you that will never happen. If you carry a knife for personal protection, it could happen to you if someone pulls a knife on you. If you can, find videos from countries where this kind of thing is common and see how they deal with it. You won't see people running in and clinching. You won't see people closing the distance. You will see people trying to stay away and then closing the distance when it's time to kill. And this is where Medusa Edged Weapon System has it. A knife against empty hand where you're focused on killing somebody, you're gonna hang on and just keep stabbing, because usually people don't just drop after one stab. They can, but that's pretty rare. In fact, it often takes many, many stabs. So this kind of training is important to understand how a knife may be used against you by someone with lethal criminal intent. If you are going to carry any kind of tool as a force multiplier, whether it be a knife, a pen, a flashlight, you need to train with it. You can't just expect it to do the work for you. Some of the best training you can do is simply boxing training if you're using shorter weapons. Another reason, though, that you really have to understand that a knife is a terrible weapon for self-defense is how the rest of the world will view you. You will be seen as a monster if you use a knife for self-defense.
you will be behind the 8 ball when it comes to defending your actions. You better know your use of force laws. You better know how to explain yourself in a way that law enforcement and the criminal justice system, the people who work in the criminal justice system, the people who will judge you, will see your actions. You have to be able to explain them in a way that you will be seen as somebody who's using reasonable force. And that will be hard with the way people view the kind of monsters that use edged weapons. Don't get me wrong. I want everyone who is a good person to be able to use whatever means necessary to get them home to their families if they get into a horrible situation. But you also want to be able to enjoy your family for your next 25 years, not spend it behind bars hoping that someone will come visit you. This is one of the main reasons why the knife is a terrible weapon for self-protection, and why I train so many other use of force options and have edged weapons as something I never want to go to. I have it as something that I only want to go to if I'm absolutely forced to. Thank you.